When you want something and don't get it, do you sometimes feel embarrassed afterwards for having wanted it in the first place? I used to, every time. That's why I learned to disappear quickly and gracefully at the faintest whiff of rejection. And I called it self-respect. But then one day, a 7-year-old showed me a version of self-respect I was not expecting. It happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon at my mom's. My niece, Romy, who was 11 at the time, and my nephew, Morgan, also 11, were sitting on the lounge floor playing a card game. My other niece, Anaëlle, who was 7, asked if she could join them. Anaëlle is Morgan's little sister, and the two of them generally get on really well. Morgan is very caring with Anaëlle, very protective, very much the older brother when he wants to be. But that day, he said no, very clearly. You're too little, you won't know how to play this game. Anaëlle insisted a little because she really wanted to be part of the game. Morgan's answer remained a firm, immovable no. And Romy, well, she chose to be Switzerland in all this, didn't get involved. And so she and Morgan carried on playing, just the two of them. And that's when Anaëlle did something that somehow lodged itself in my mind. She did not shout. She did not throw herself on the floor. She did not run to grandma with a whiny, Morgan won't let me play with them, which for a 7-year-old would have been very understandable. But no. Instead, she went and got her own cards from a different game, came back, sat next to Romy and Morgan, and placed her cards in front of her. Then she started playing alongside them, quietly, as if she'd simply found another entrance. When she felt it would have been her turn, she moved one of her cards. When she felt she needed to take a card, she took one from her own game. She followed the rhythm of their game with her own little parallel version until Romy and Morgan officially finished. Then she gathered her cards, got up, and went on to do something else. That was it. And I found that seriously impressive. What struck me wasn't that Anaëlle got what she wanted, because she didn't. Morgan didn't suddenly change his mind. Romy didn't stand up and deliver a speech about justice in the card-playing community. The original game remained closed to little Anaëlle. She had asked to join. The answer was no. But look at what she did with that no. It did not become a whole drama about her worth. It didn't become how humiliating that I wanted to play and they rejected me. She simply used that no as a prompt to find another way to stay close to what she wanted, not as a prompt to feel embarrassed. And honestly, I'm not sure I knew how to do that at the time. Because for most of my adult life, anytime I felt even slightly unwelcome somewhere, I was gone. And usually the exit was pretty quick. Polite, elegant, but quick. And for a long time, I called that self-respect. I'd say something like, I don't insist where I'm not wanted. That statement sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds dignified, composed. Sounds like a woman who's got her shit together. And yes, there are places where leaving is healthy. There are people you should not chase. There are rooms where you really are being shown the door and you should take it because you've got better things to do with your life than insisting. I'm not arguing that. What Anaëlle made me question wasn't the leaving itself. It was what I was doing to myself every time I left. I think this is where adulthood makes the whole thing more complicated. A child can want something quite openly, painfully openly sometimes. There's no elegant packaging around it. They want the biscuit, the toy, the turn, the seat, the attention, the game. But adults learn to add another layer. We don't only want the thing, we watch ourselves wanting it. We imagine how it looks. We become aware of the room, the witnesses. And so when we get rejected, the problem isn't only I didn't get what I wanted. The problem is also people can see that I wanted it and didn't get it. And that's where pride starts doing paperwork. And so, yes, I used to leave immediately, chin held high, whenever I felt that my presence somewhere wasn't being received with full on 100% enthusiasm. And while doing so, I tried to convince myself this actually wasn't for me. I didn't really want it, especially when it came to romantic relationships. Oh, yes. I remember even much younger, my sister could set her sights on a boy and say loud and clear, I want that boy and I will have him. I wasn't built like that at all. I could really like someone, really, really like him. The second I felt I might not be welcomed with matching enthusiasm, I would suddenly become very philosophical. Yeah, actually, he's not my type. And that's what I realized much later in my life. I wasn't just leaving the situation, I was often editing the wanting afterwards so that I could leave with my pride undamaged. On the outside, it looked very clean. I accepted it, I moved on, kept my dignity. Excellent. But on the inside, something else was happening. How embarrassing that I wanted it. How embarrassing that I cared. How embarrassing that I wanted to be included or invited or loved back. That is where self-respect started getting tangled with shame. I was an independent, self-sufficient woman, Still wishing I'd be included under those circumstances felt pathetic. At least that's how I interpreted it. And so I always chose to make a swift exit rather than sit there feeling exposed by my own desire. Annaelle wanted to play. She was told no. She didn't force Morgan and Romy to include her, demand a rule change, or make her disappointment everyone else's emergency. She simply found another way to stay loyal to what she wanted, and she followed it. Her wanting remained intact. Most importantly, she did not punish herself for asking. And that to me is self-respect. Now, let's not get carried away. She was 7. A few minutes later, she decided to put a sock on her favorite doll's head. But in that moment, she showed a kind of confidence I think adults often lose. The ability to want something without instantly editing yourself. To hear no without turning it into, I should never have asked. To feel disappointment without immediately fleeing the scene of the disappointment. So the lesson I took from that day wasn't simply, in the face of rejection, stand your ground. That's a different conversation. And yes, sometimes we do need more backbone. But that's not what stayed with me most. The lesson was more precise. When the answer is no, and at some point in life it will be, do not add shame to it. The no is already enough. You don't need to help it by calling yourself ridiculous for having wanted a yes. And please, don't betray yourself by pretending it didn't matter anyway.